Good morning on this wonderful Tuesday. How is everybody today? I'm Jeff, and this is Vectors and Pixels. This is my live stream that I try to do every Tuesday. I try to wax a little bit poetically so that everybody has a chance to get on, say hello. As you can see by the title of this one is Random Art and 3D Modeling. I have a convention season coming up, and I'm trying to prepare things, little pieces of art here, things mostly for games right now is my focus, not necessarily things for print or publication of any kind other than game publication. And so I thought I'd wax through some of the bibs and bobs until I decide. Hi Sam, how you doing? I was just doing an intro here, talking about how I was going to wax through the bibs and bobs as I prepare for the upcoming convention season. I'm not really focused on exactly what I want to do for this particular live cast, but I have cards for games that need to be dealt with. I have badge art and rule books to do. I have 3D modeling for one of the games that I'm working on, and I figure I'd just share it with you. If anybody's interested in anything in particular, I'd be more than welcome to the idea of showing you something that would help you with your art, or help you with a technique, or just kind of inspire you. I mean, I love the mentoring role. So I have over here, let's go over to here, a card that I'm trying to do. These are going to be some experimental cards for a game that has yet to come out. I've talked about the game SKUTTLED on the channel before. It's not a surprise for those of you who are my loyal fans and viewers. We are planning on introducing this game after the first of the year more seriously, to try to get support and people to want to play it. So one of the things I've got here is some experimental cards, and we have colored cards and we have specialty cards, which are gold cards like this one here. This particular card, the idea was, would it be better as a gold card, or would it be better as some of the numbered or colored cards that are in the deck? And so I was just going to do some copy and paste. I think I have a numbered card layout here, and so I would just copy the text and everything from the shipwreck card over here to the numbered card and just make the conversion. That's one of the things I have planned. Another one is to work on badge art for another game that I have, a little game called Battle Badges, and it's a collaboration with some old friends of mine, and I need to probably polish up some of the artwork for these badges to get them ready, as well as the rule book here, which I have all the different rules for the game here. But I need to create backer cards because I'm going to put these in packaging, so I need to go through the packaging creation for these games. I'm going to go with just simple Ziploc bags with some nice backer art, slide a book in there, slide in a badge, slide in some other odds and ends. And to that end, I also have, like, just silly little pieces of art laying here. Been talking about doing baby dragons, and so I kind of messed around with this piece. Man, not happy with where it's at right now, but it is an option of something I can work on if people would prefer to see me work on art, or would like to see the production of game components. And to that end, I was talking about the battle badges, and so for that, we have some 3D modeling software I have open here. This is 3D Studio Max, and what I have currently are the components with holes for magnets, because this game is played with badges, metal badges. I am not satisfied with some of these components. For example, this mace is too, I guess, detailed for the printing and the size that it needs to be. Some of these shapes are kind of boring. I mean, we got to have the traditional shield. I'm not happy with this, and I'm not happy with this, and so I thought I might explore modeling some different shields for this game, if that's something people would prefer. Oh my, thank you very much. I have just gotten support. I just looked over and saw that. Ooh, look at that. Yes, you can now buy the artist a cup of coffee. Um, Art is run on caffeine. I don't care if you're doing video game development or if you're an artist in a studio working with oil paints or you're a commercial artist sitting behind a computer making ads for magazines. It's run on caffeine. And I do highly appreciate a cup of coffee from time to time. I'm not doing this channel for money. I'm doing it out of passion and love, but if you want to show your support, help me get a few extra odds and ends here and there. I do have a link. It's support me at buymeacoffee.com/chainreaction, and you can buy me a cup, and I would appreciate it. But as we're getting into the stream here, just kind of getting started, I'm always open to see what various people want to see me do. 3D modeling is sometimes a mystery for some people, and that's always fun to expose people to. I love the modeling, and there's different kinds of software to work with. I have a couple I could show, but I think my focus today, at least to start with, is I'm going to work on some of the game components here. In particular, this is going to be a real simple grab this, put this over here, move on with my life kind of thing. At least that's what I'm hoping. It never works out that way. So let's go to the number card here. One of the ideas, like I said, was to play test some different elements, and this would be one of those elements. I'm actually going to save this out as experimental cards. So I'm going to do a save as, and I'm going to save this file, which of course you can't see. I'm Dayglow because I've got a menu in front of me, but you can't see that menu. I'm just going to call this experimental cards. Yes, I hunt and peck. I'm slow, but I get the job done. So now this has been called experimental cards, so I don't feel bad when I get in here and remove elements such as, I think, nope, we don't want to move that. So let's lock that. But this I want to get rid of, and these pips I want to get rid of. And I'm not sure if I want to get rid of that or not. So we're going to be playing around with some design thoughts here. Immediately though, I need various elements for this. That's a grunge layer, so I don't need that. I do need this, so we're going to copy this, and I'm just going to put it over here. Where's the opening that I just made? Yeah, outer numbers, center numbers. We'll just reuse this. We'll put that there, and methinks my cards need to be slightly scaled. I had to make some changes to accommodate the printer, and when I did these experimental cards, I don't think I used the files that I used for the new sets. I've printed the SKUTTLED, which is a card shedding game, a couple of times now, and we've been making tweaks here and there to the design and the gameplay, and I unfortunately had to go round and round with the printer. Now right off the bat I can tell that's not going to work for me, at least the red outline. So I'm going to grab, let's move this down. I want to grab this color right here, and I'm going to open up the shipwreck piece. Should have, there we go. Grab that back piece and turn it to blue. I said grab that back piece, turn it to blue. There we go. At least I think, nope, that's black. It's going to be one of those days. It's basically my Monday here. Let's take the blue. Okay, well, we'll just do this the hard way then. Couple extra steps, not a big deal. I clicked the wrong thing when I went to go get the color, and that's fine. Now we can get in here and grab this. Grab that blue now. Now, it'll at least look like it kind of belongs on that background better. It's not great, but it'll do the job. And I'm really tempted to... Monday Part 2. Yes, Monday never ends. My condolences for everybody in the security area and having to deal with Log4j stuff. That's no joke, boys and girls. Always update your stuff when you can. Sometimes it's not, prudent to do so if you're middle of a project, but if you can, always update. Change your passwords often. Yada yada yada. You guys know the spiel. This stuff is no joke. Alright, so you know what? I'm going to play around with this. This looks like this is going to be more work than I was expecting. So let's make this white. Let's go ahead and just extend the white for the moment. I know it already has white, but I want to get these colors, and let's play with these. Let's see how that looks. At least fits the bill a little bit better, I think. Anyway, let's open up some of the number cards again. Let's get the original file that I was using. And I want to look at the indices, or the numbers, just to see how I did those. I did these with a little bit of a glow and not much else. I don't think that's going to be appropriate for letters, but it does tell me I want to make this outside edge maybe not as much. So let's get rid of this outer one just for now. And I think that reads a lot better. Yeah, we're going to do that. Now it has text, so let's transport this text here over to this experimental card. And of course we know yellow is not going to work for this. So we're just going to turn it white as the generic choice for the moment. Dink. Make sure it reads, and I think the skull needs to get replaced. So where is the skull in my art? Grunge colors, plates. Okay, that's the background plates. Where, oh where did I lay that skull? Oh where can it be? That's not it. Have the fun of when you haven't been working with something in a while, is trying to figure out where it is and what were you doing with it. These are all the different grunge. I'm just going to lock all the grunge layers. Make my life a little easier. Okay, this is probably right here, art. And let's remove that. And we have some background art here. Let's open up the background plate. Is there anything else in here? Grunge, 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 colors. How's everyone doing out there? Am I sounding okay? Can you hear me all right? Am I mumbling too much? It's always good to get feedback from people. Every time I do these, I ask this question, but it's because I'm trying to refine what I'm doing. All right, so where is the background mask? That's that. That's the grunge. Let's go ahead and hide. Well, you know what? Let's just do this. Let's cheat. Let's unhide that. Nope, that's not it. That's not it. That's definitely not it. Nope. Nope. Even though I've named everything, for some reason, I just can't seem to find what I'm looking for. So let's close this. You're fine. In the beginning, I was pausing. Was in the beginning was pausing, but it has normalized now. Okay, so I was like popping or something, perhaps. Okay, that's good to know. Let's see what this. Aha! Found what I was looking for. Let's copy this and plop over here to the experimental card, and we're gonna paste it in place. And we are going to replace the existing. And we are going to manipulate this just a little bit. I think it's a little big. That doesn't look too bad. I was expecting it to look a lot worse, but when I lock the card as a whole, I think that looks fine. Came in a little late, but good. Yay! How you doing, Lori? We are experimenting today. I didn't have anything really planned. As I explained at the beginning of this, for those of you who are watching later, you've already heard this. But for those of you who are just coming in, I'm preparing for the new convention season, which in May. It was my first convention. In fact, let's go over here. And oops, this side right here is the first convention of the season for me. So I'm doing all the prep work that I can get. Yay! And one of the things was to prep some of the experimental cards for SKUTTLED, which I explained I have talked about on the channel before. And my hope is that there will be a big push after the first of the year, where we will talk a lot more openly about this game, about where I want to go with this game, the goals to produce the game, and try to get everybody on board. Anybody who's been watching my stream, who has been following me, knows a little bit about this game. So my loyal followers know about the game SKUTTLED, and I can't wait to spring it on to everyone else. Well, we have some experimental cards that might make the game more fun, but we don't know if we want it to be a colored card, kind of like the Cannonball cards, or if we want it to be a gold card, which I have everything hidden here. And let's get rid of all that layout stuff. Like one of these, which apparently I've used the wrong template, so I'm going to go back and fix that. Other things that I have to work on is battle badge stuff, so cleanup of some badges, maybe some different types of badges, more characters, play around the rules, tweak the rules, do the background cards for the packaging for the badges and the rules. I had just some silly things set aside if I just wanted to scribble, if people just wanted me to work on just art as opposed to production art for games. And of course, not that one, this one, there we go. Or if people wanted to see me do some 3D modeling, I do have my modeling package of choice here, and I have the components for battle badges laid out here. Battle Badges is going to be a fun little project that I did in collaboration with some friends. This was a game some friends of mine did in 1988, I believe. And it was fun. It was something I remembered, and I thought it'd be fun to reintroduce. Of course, COVID happened. I created a social game in a time when social gatherings were kind of poo-pooed upon. So it's been sitting, and slowly but surely I've been adding to it, and I have even coming back over to here, even printed up, ooh, that's so glowy, badges of different character types. Let's see if I can keep from glaring it out. I really need to work on my lighting in this set, because just that's my computer is causing that to turn into day glow, as well as we have another character here, and then each badge has these little counters, which does show up nicely. This one's for health, and then these are the combat. We have a shield, and we have a sword, and you move them around, which will be explained in the game and later on. And when you get somebody down to 0, you win. And when we run tournaments, you would come over and we would register the kill. But half the fun of the game is not fighting players upon players. These are designed to have parties put together, and you go and hunt bigger groups of people or monsters, and that will be explained at another time. But these are the components right here that I'm modeling. In fact, that green shield there, which you can't see because I don't have it up, that green shield is this piece right here. There is a hole for a magnet, and it's a whole production process. So there's a lot that goes into making any game, as anyone knows. And I'm just trying to gear up and have some fun and see what people want to watch me work on. I'm pretty open today, willing to go to the whims, but until people say something, I'm going to work on experimental cards. Very fun, yes. It is very, very, very fun. So I'm just going to continue on. I like this. Now, the way this has been created, this is a template. And in order to do the different colors, so I'm going to go ahead and save this one. We're going to go File. We're going to export this. And of course, you can't see what I'm doing because I didn't switch. I really need to get an editor in here. Anyway, got to learn to push the buttons. So I'm going to save this card out, but you're not going to see, because you can't see the menus that I'm seeing. I haven't figured out a way around this yet. The way OBS works, you're sharing the application, not necessarily the window. Even though it says share this window, it goes, this is the application, this right here. And you see right now my screen is blacked out because I'm waiting for the exporter to respond. There it is, big flash. And it'd be kind of nice to show this part of the process because people like to know what your settings are and what resolutions you're working at, which, bibs and bobs, which buttons are you pushing. And unfortunately, I don't have a way to show that. So I'm going to put this out as Shipwreck Blue because it's blue. And I'm going to create a very small little deck to play test with. So that's the point of doing these particular cards. Now I'm going to change the layout from blue. The base colors are blue, black, purple, and red. So I'm going to go ahead and switch out to black and hide the blue. I'm going to go to the background, which also has color plates, and I'm going to turn that one on and turn that one off. So now I have, with a little bit of work, very little work, the basic card again. So the only thing I really need to do is mess around with the, oops, you gotta get this to scroll, the name, which is this one right here. And so we're just going to take the letters and turn them black. Unfortunately, it's an easy swap. Work smarter, not harder, as I was told once. And there we go. Lock it down. And now I have the black card. Wait. Oh, there's a way to show my menus. So like when I go to save something, I see it, you guys don't, but there's a way to show that. That's good. I'm always willing to learn new stuff. Sam has been the one who's been guiding me through this process of OBS. He's been leading the way with his channel, Pantsless Pirates Gaming. If you guys want to giggle and have a good time, go over to the YouTube or on the Facebook page. Go to Pantsless Pirates Gaming, and you can see the captain there playing Wormmate IO, or the rest of us gathered together at times and playing, loads of giggles indeed, playing WoW. Apparently we're entertaining when we play. Our banter is why you go. You don't go to watch the game, you go to watch the banter. So if you ever get a chance, head on over there and check us out. But in the meantime, we're going to go back and we're going to finish tweaking out these color cards here. They're not going to take long. And export. Oh, and there's the link right there. For those of you who are in Facebook currently, you can see that link. For those of you who are watching this later, in Facebook, you'll see this link in the comments. Post-to-point comments below. Actually, in Facebook, I think comments on this side. For those of you who are going to be watching this on my YouTube channel later, It is facebook.com/gaming/pantslesspirates gaming, and you can find the page there. All right, moving on. Let's save this one out here. Gee, what unique, funny name could I give this card? Maybe I'll just call it Black. They can search the same on YouTube or Twitch, the exact same name. That's good to know. Captain's rather thorough and much more advanced at streaming than I am. So, all right, we're going to go to the next color will be purple. So let's close that. Turn on purple. Come all the way down here. Turn on the purple plate, which should override the black one because it's on bottom. And oh my, that is purple. But when it's printed, it's not so purple. Sure, you can go with that. Yeah, that's what I tend to do. Let's go up here. I'm trying to read the comments so that I don't react out of context, but I'm being laughed at and told that, sure, we can go with that. Speaking of which, we need to fix the center number, which is actually the name of this piece. Oh, but I need to get the color first. So let's go ahead and grab that purple right there. Just random, no specific purple. And click on this again. Grab that. Oops, grab that. Turn it purple, which you guys just don't see any of that. That's kind of the important part. We're going to have to fix this, because you're not seeing my menus pop up where I'm choosing colors, where my values are. You're not seeing any of that, and that's kind of 90% of what this is kind of showing process. So that is purple. Okay. Gonna export this image. And then while I'm in here, I think I'm going to look for it. It might take me a moment digging around, so I apologize. You know, it's kind of like watching paint dry, but I'm going to try to find my template for this version of my gold cards so that I can fix the other experimental cards, which I will get to show since I have to fix them. So I'm going to save this one out as, I don't know, something silly like purple. Alrighty, so there's that. Yay. And then the last one is the red, and it is red. So let's find the red. Let's turn off purple, turn on red. Go down here, get the plate. Now the purpose of this plate right here, is to extend the artwork, and it confuses the printer because I leave this hex shape in there. And to fix that, I'm just going to start shipping them without the hex shape on there. It's just all going to be kind of like that, just so it doesn't freak out the printer. But for now, for testing purposes, this is going to be fine. So we're going to grab a red, and I always try to grab it from the same general area. And again, just swapping out colors. A lot of work setting this up, but once it's set up, making these changes is a lot easier. At least I think so, since I'm the one doing the changes. That works. Alright, so that doesn't look so bad. I like these colors with a numbered card like this. It's going to come down to play testing. The idea is 2 of each color, which is why I'm doing these color plates, and testing that way, or just 2 specialty cards. And is there more balance one way or the other? When you're doing art for game, and this is not really a great example in terms of thinking through gameplay via the art, but you have to be open to doing experimental pieces like this, to doing test runs and changes, because it's going to come down to play testing. We want to make sure that everyone has a very similar experience and that the game is balanced, so that if it's played with 3 people or 8 people, with 8-year-olds or 80-year-olds, they're going to have a very similar experience, which is the one that we're trying to craft. So doing additional art during the production of a game is, part and parcel of doing gaming. You're always experimenting, and in my case, I never really throw anything away. It gets reused. In fact, the ship in the background of this card is actually from a game that didn't do so well, that I made, called Zombie Pirates, for Dust Devil Studios, which was a company that I was a partial owner in. And it didn't do so well, but I got permission to reuse the art however and whenever I want. So I'm reusing it here. And so this was a piece that really never saw the light of day, and I could have just, forgotten about it. But I like to dig up bits and pieces and reuse them, tweak them, make them look better, and add them in small ways as little homages to the things I've done into my art. Always put something to entertain yourself in your art, but when working on a game, always expect to have to do more. So file, we're going to export this one here, save as. I don't know why I went down that little rabbit hole. Yeah, we're going to go ahead and save the experimental carpet out right now. File, export, not save as, the image, which is going to take it a moment. Nothing is worse than black lines because printers weren't lined up exactly. No doubt. That's why this plate's there, to kind of fix that. But you can see this highlight. Well, I was expecting the cards to get cut on a line that would go around here, making this highlight on the very edge of the card, but the printer complained about the bleed area, which would be this area here, which is when the dies come down and cut, they can shift a millimeter or two in one direction or the other, and so they would like to have this little bit of bleed. Well, for whatever reason, my printer thought this was the edge of the card and this out here was the bleed. And we went back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And I was not happy, but we went back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Long story short, he cut on this edge, leaving this gap here. Even though he told me originally this was out here to shrink everything in, because that's his cut line. It's not his cut line. So I have to resize these cards again, but for now, I'm happy with them. Anyway, let's save this out as something silly, like, I don't know, red. And I can ponder over them later. So, to be honest, that part of it is done, but now I clearly have to tweak these cards. So I'm going to go find the file for this. This might take me a minute, because I have so many iterations, and I'm a bad artist. I don't pay attention to my iterations. It's like, which one is this? Which one? What? So let me grab a card I know that's gold that got produced, warrant card 2, properly, at least for this iteration. There we go. So what I'm just going to do is I'm going to translate a few cards into this, and this is not as bad as it seems. So let's see, let's go ahead and grab all this original text. Oops. Let's grab this. Control. Actually, let's do this easier. Let's make my life easier. I'm going to unlock this. Grab this. Grab this. I'm going to copy these frames. I'm going to come over to this warrant card, find the relevant spots, and paste those frames. Not quite what I had in mind. Hang on, what broke? Oh, I have the warrant, which is the art, Okay, wrong spot. Got it. Helps to pay attention to my own rules. Paste frames. There we go. And we're going to have to shrink these down just a hair. Remember that story I told about the printer? That's why. There's that. And then we're going to go down to the warrant. We're going to lock that. Now we're going to grab that ship that's in the background here. Should be this piece right here. C. Come back to this card. Grab this piece here. Let's delete it. And we're going to paste this one in place. And scale it just a little bit. Put it in place. Center it just a little bit more. There you go. So, ta-da, redone. And then I'm just going to save over this file. Save as. And there should be a shipwreck card layout. Yes, we're going to just overwrite it because now this is the new format. Even if I don't change, you know, I just leave it all alone and just whatever. It's not worth fighting over this highlight. I'll have it all set up. So here are the two different stylings. Where is it? Did I close the book? I must have closed it. No, here it is. Experimental. So here's this one. Let's set this at 70%, just so it's zoomed a little bit the same. And then let's take this one, zoom it at 70%. And so this is the two different stylings of cards. Not perfectly centered on my screen, but you can kind of see. So in this version, Shipwreck, because of the way it's outlined, everything's much thicker. Whereas the text in here, even though it's the exact same thing, appears thinner, and I did get rid of one layer of line. So I kind of like the colored cards, but it's going to come down to gameplay. It's not going to be about what I as the artist like, but what's going to play well. So there's another rule there: never get married to your art, because it will change. And ultimately it goes out into the world or out to those you're working with, and their input's important too. So it's always good to keep an open ear and listen for a good idea. You never know where it's going to come from. So experimental cards, yay. We're going to go ahead and say File, Save. And then we've already saved the Shipwreck card as the Shipwreck card layout, which is right here. Good. So one of the other cards that I created that was new, open, let's see, should be, and of course you can't see what I'm looking at, the black spot. The black spot. That be this card here. It be the black spot. And I think I can get away with, yeah, I'm going to have to grab this separately. All right, fine. Copy that frame, come over here to the Shipwreck card. We're going to replace this thing called the warrant because it's not the warrant anymore. We're going to paste this frame. We're going to say, yes, we want to replace that. Ta-da! A black spot has appeared. Arr. And then, whoops, nope, come back over here. We're going to grab the text from the spot. It used to be when you grab these, it would rename your layers too, but it's not doing that. Copy these frames, come up here to these two, and paste those frames. Yes, replace. Ta-da! There we go. Oops, I need to do this. That's what I'm doing. trying to rescale things. I'm like, why am I not grabbing stuff? Oh yeah, I've got the layers locked. Dummy. You're such a silly artist, not paying attention. Alright. So that be another one of the experiment. Now, for those of you who are observant, and of course there's two of you here, and you've both heard how this card's going to play, or was there when it was invented, this card can never be played. If this card is in your hand, you cannot win. This is a very evil card. But what makes it evil, even more so, is that there are a lot of ways to get rid of this card to your opponents. This card, we used to think was, we have a card called the Kraken, which can basically make everybody throw away their hands and redraw a new hand, resetting the game. Oh yeah, we love evil cards. This card will become the new hot potato. It's like, don't want it, gotta get rid of it. Do you get rid of it immediately, your first chance you get, or do you hope another chance comes around so it's more strategical? Our game is evolving from a simplistic roots to something that I wouldn't say is complex, but definitely has layers to it. And depending on who you play with, it can be just a fun little game, or it could be the most evil thing that has ever happened to you in your life, and you'll love every second of it. Wait for the squall, right? Oh God, squall and this card. But could you imagine somebody who had both this card and a Kraken in their hand? There's no way you could win, ever. You would have to pray for someone to steal your hand or something. Alright, so this one's good. I'm going to close this black spot, and I'm going to override the file name, or with the file, with this one here. We're going to go save as, because right now it's called Shipwreck. We want to save as the black spot. Alright, so black spot's done. Let's open up our next victim here. And this is just kind of experimentation, card maintenance, for lack of a better term. Okay, black spot, cannonballs, captain card, Davy Jones, hex, 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 so many hexes. Kraken, letter of mark. I want to redo the warrant card. Mutiny. Here be mutiny. Mutiny's a thing. Alrighty. So let's go back to this layer here. I think this is the one. Yes. We're going to grab this one. Copy these frames. Come over here to this new version. And there should be a warrant layer, which is where the art goes. I should just generically just label it art. Paste frames. I'm just trying to be descriptive. Okay. There we go. Come back over to the mutiny. Now we're going to grab the mutiny text and then the rule text. Copy those frames, and you can't see me doing half that. It's annoying. Going to fix that. Yes, we must fix this, Sam. Black spot. Come over here to the rule and the text. Paste those. Let's replace. Yes. There we go. And then we'll unlock those so I can adjust their size. Oops. Just bring it in. Whoa, no. Wrong button. There we go. Just bring it in a hair. There we go. Alright. Choose a card from your hand and give it to the next player. They have to play that card on their turn. Unless it's the black spot. Then they can never play that card. And I think the rule of thumb will be then they have to draw. If you can't play a card, the rule is you draw a card and that ends your turn. So it's not so devastating, I think. But again, that has to be play tested, and there are going to be variations on that theme that we have not thought of. It's going to be fun to find them. All right, mutiny card. Arr. Let's close the mutiny here. And I haven't done one of the cards because I haven't quite figured out how I want the art to be for it, but I should just lay out the card. We're going to do this as a save as, and this was a mutiny card. It's the greatest sin of all aboard the ship is mutiny. Or your greatest duty if you're a pirate ship, because it's democratic. Alrighty. And was there another one? Let's just go through my little list here. Mutiny, numbers, a bunch of recover, rule layouts, Shanghai, shipwreck, which we started off with, scuttled layouts, squall, tab, the new warrant, which I want to change the warrant because it's day glowy as compared to the other artwork. And I think that takes care of all of that. So, yeah, that'll work out. So this is the mutiny card, so let's go ahead and do a file, and let's export these while we have them, just so I remember it. If I don't do it right away, I will forget to do this. And we're going to save over the shipwreck mutiny card here. There we go. File, open. Let's open. I believe it's black spot. There's the black spot. There she be. Let's go file, export this image. I'm just calling it out because you can't see what I'm actually clicking. And then we're going to save it. And we're going to override the black spot I have in here. Dun 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 dun. Woo. Alright, that's black spot, and then let's do shipwreck and make sure we get mutiny. No, mutiny's been done. So file, open, man. Okay, black spot, arr. Game cards, hex, hex. Mutiny, we did mutiny, we've already exported mutiny. So we do need to export the gold version of the shipwreck card. File, export, image, save. Yes, that's the only other one I needed to do. So there's another card which I'll save for another time. That's called the Pirate King card. And it has special rules for it. I could just mock one up here, but I want to kind of do it right, not rush it. So I'm going to say, for now, we are done with the scuttled experimental cards. So I'm going to go ahead and close out these files because we don't need them. And we don't need the experimental cards themselves because we're done with that. And that just leaves me with other things to do. So I think I'm going to switch tacks here instead of working in 2D, and I'm going to go ahead and come over to here and do a little bit of 3D modeling. This is 3D Studio Max. This is a 2012, so it's a very old version, but it still serves my purposes. These are all the components which you saw me pull out. Yay, waiting for 3D. Well, unfortunately, watching somebody model in 3D is also like watching paint dry. I'm fascinated by it, and I think I'm really clever at times when I build something, but that's because I'm narcissistic, I guess? I don't know. I need to unhide some stuff here. So I've got some elements that are hidden, so let's unhide all. In particular, what I really need to unhide is that round circle right there. So I'm going to hide unselected, leaving that little circle. That circle is important because it is to scale in this modeling program to the magnets that I'm using for the back of these various badges. In fact, I've got something printed up in green here. So here's one of the, in fact, here's that one sword I was just looking at. And here it is. Oh, not zoom boy. Let's try that. Will you focus if I do this? Nope. Oh well. Learning things. So here's one of the pieces, and it's just a resin print, but it's got a magnet in it, so it will very satisfyingly thump onto a badge. I love that sound. Just that makes me feel good. The original game was I think this size badges, but it used ribbon magnets with stickers over them, and you were always losing because you would store it on the back of your badge, and you're wearing your badge, and you'd be jostling around a convention or whatever, and your magnets weren't that strong, so they would fall off, and you would lose your components. And I'm really happy. These have 1.9 pounds of force, I guess, or they're rated for 1.9 pounds. So I don't think we're going to lose components. We might break some components, but we won't lose components. And that's a better experience for people, I think. I'm about crafting experiences. From the moment you are handed a product that I've created, I want the packaging and everything within that packaging to be part of the experience when you explore something that I've created, mostly in games. I think that's where the immersion starts. How many of us, when we were younger, went to our first real game shop? What stuck with us? The smells, the atmosphere of the shop. Mine happened to have carpeting and these wonderful shelves and these flat drawers where you went to go get the miniatures from, and just the smell and the sounds of the books and the carpeting and the quietness and the warmth of the shop led to an experience that I always craved to reproduce every time I went to that shop. And I was never disappointed. It lasted for a very long time. A shout out to the Game Shop in Tulsa, Oklahoma. It's no longer with us. But it lasted up until like maybe 5-10 years ago. So it was around for a while. And it was experiences like that, just trying to recreate those experiences, that led me to love miniatures and love art. I mean, I have another channel. It's called the 28mm Build, where I like to craft experiences. I mean, this was an experience for me to build, and I'd like to think this is an experience for somebody to play with when we use it in a game. And this was a lot of fun to do. Well, it's really hard to see with all this glaring light. Let's see if I can minimize that a little bit. There we go, just a little bit. So, I mean, this is something I do on another channel. And if these are the kinds of things you want to see me do, let me know in the comments below. I do everything from 2D art to 3D modeling to modeling. So, that just happened to be on my desk for whatever reason. Put that back there. And let's go back to doing some, I don't know, real 3D modeling. So, I know I want to kind of do, what's the name of the cross? It's not a Teutonic cross, but it's very much like the Iron Cross. Oh, why, thank you very much. Chain Reaction Studios, 28mm Build. Thank you. There's not a lot going on that page. It's when I have something to say, I post things on that page, or I post things. There's also a YouTube channel. It's the 28mm Build as well, and it has some useful tips on how to do wood textures, shingles, how I paint things, how I go about different builds and stuff like that. And it can be useful, but I found myself, I got to a point where I was just making a video to make a video, and it felt dirty. It didn't feel right. And I'm not doing it for money, I was just doing it for the passion. So when I have something to say, I'll post new content over there, but I have a lot of content that I share from other creators over there. I have occasionally events that I go to that I will post on. And again, if this is the kinds of things you guys want to see out of me, by all means, I can stream more than once a week. But in terms of creating things, you know, like this, I think that's more conducive of edited videos that are pre-recorded. Because again, watching somebody sit here and do this is even worse than watching me attempting to do 3D modeling, which I haven't even gotten around to yet. Here we go. Back over here. So it's kind of like the German cross, and so I need to kind of think about how I want to build that shield. So I'm going to go over here and I'm going to get a primitive. I think I'm going to start with a tube, and I'm going to freeze this object, meaning that I can't manipulate it. So I'm going to freeze select it, and turns it gray, which is why I don't do it too often because my background's this color. And then I'm going to create a cylinder, a tube tortoise cylinder. There we go. I'm going to start in the center, or as close to it, and make it about yay big, and it has to be yay tall. In fact, I need to unhide one of the original shields. Unhide by name. Was I smart and unhid things? Yes, I did. Let's unhide the original red shield, which is over there. So that gives me a height to work from. So I'm going to manipulate, whoops, and I'm going to freeze that so I don't accidentally do something to it. So now I'm going to manipulate this primitive, which when it's in primitives, you know, you can mess around with a lot of the parameters a lot more easily. I'm going to simplify this a little bit. I am going to give myself, I'm still trying to think about how I want to build this piece. So let's get in here a little bit. I think I need some more sides. There we go. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to build it out of quarters. Eventually I'm just going to build 1/4 of it, and then I'll copy it and weld it together. But right now I know I want to keep it within a certain size, which is this size of here, so about 4 of these squares. But it has to be big enough for me to put a magnet. So this is the size of the hole that I need to put in for the magnet. So I got to do some tinking, and I'm tinking that this needs to be a little bit smaller, and then I'm going to put a modifier on here, and I'm going to, this is something you can't do in Tinkercad. I preach Tinkercad because it's a great program to start with, but you can't do this, which is to manipulate at the vertice level your object. So let's get in here a little bit closer. I'm going to flatten these out just a little bit. I'm kind of doodling, and I'm trying to think about how I want to build this piece, and I'm not quite sure of the shape I want to start with. I'm one of those people who can doodle in 3D. Oh, did I get everything? I did. Ooh, you know what? Ooh. That's a happy little accident there. But I've also got some turnt faces, so they're not happy with me, which is fine. I'm going to take care of that problem. I'm going to get rid of the top and the bottom, because right now all I want are the edges. So we're going to just get rid of that. And this gives me a little more interesting shape for one of my shield ideas. So that was a happy accident, which is what I love. My machine is being stubborn. Wow, you can't see my cursor. Alright, yeah, we really have to fix this because you can't see me. There we go, moving around. Oh, what you don't see is application error. An error has occurred and the application will now close. Do you want to attempt to save a copy of the current scene? I'm going to say okay. See, will it give me a chance here to go? Nope. I'll say okay, because I don't have a choice. This is why I don't do 3D modeling, especially in a live stream, because my software and my computer are so old right now that they act in an unpredictable manner. In fact, I've clicked everything and it's just locked up. It could have been that it tried to do an autosave when it was trying to do something else, which seems to always be the case. There we go. Tink. and OK. And then Autodesk gives me, hey, would you like to talk about the problem? No, because you don't support this anymore. Did I mention that you can buy me a cup of coffee? I think I need to save up for some better software at some point. Oh my goodness. How embarrassing is that? We're going to go back. We're going to reload it. It's frustrating to have that happen. Especially when I was just starting to get something interesting going on. We'll see where it is. We weren't so far that we couldn't recreate what I just did. It's just like, Did I actually already go over an hour? Yeah, lots and lots of coffee. I've actually gone over an hour. Well, bummer. Well, votes on who wants me to do the 3D modeling next stream. All three of you get a chance to say something. Or do you want me to continue with the 2D stuff? Yes, and yet. How did you get 2 votes? Yes, please. More 3D. I. All right. It's really weird. The program's open up, but I still got the screen thing here. Well, let's do this real fast. Let's see where we're at then. We're going to do the recover. And let's turn over to here. So, we didn't really lose anything. Pirates, that's how. Oh, well, okay, fine. So, and I don't like the color of this object. No offense to those who like pink. It's just hard to see. And I know I'm using a neon day glow background. So here's the deal. Next week, what we'll do is I'll leave this alone. And we'll start with this. But my goal is to create something sort of like an iron cross. I think that would fit the fire of this guy. Let's go back over to here. And let's go to, oops, that is active. Yes, will fit, not this one. I think that would look better with him. He's the fire warrior, and I think kind of a cross as opposed to that just square, red square that I had there. The one that I'm using as reference over here. Oh, I have more than one copy running apparently. So this is the original one for him, and I'm not a big fan. Let's close that one down. Here we go. Nope, close the wrong one down. Okay, fine. So I want to replace this generic boring square with something a little more interesting, and so I think this is a direction. It may not be the direction, but that's a direction. So I am over my hour. Who knew? Well, the counter did. So, as I always like to say, you guys are loved. You're worthy of that love. You're important. Don't be so hard on yourself. You are deserving of being loved. It's hard enough out there as it is. I'm going to dot my nose because it likes to run. It's hard enough out there as it is without self-doubt tearing you apart. And I know I need to listen to this advice probably more than anyone. But just remember you're loved, and people do care about you. But the most important person that needs to care about you is you. So give yourself a break, okay? Until next week, love you all. You're important to me. If you'd like, you can buy me a cup of coffee. I will not argue. Yes, same goes for me. Definitely. I know I need to take that advice. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and end the stream. I love you all. And next week, we'll work on Battle Badge shields. All right? Till then, take care, guys.